Imagine boarding a luxury expedition cruise ship for the adventure of a lifetime. You leave the southern tip of Argentina. You sail across some of the most remote and beautiful waters on Earth. Tiny islands, massive oceans, frozen Antarctic landscapes. Everything feels magical. But then, passengers begin getting sick. At first, it seems like ordinary flu symptoms, fever, tiredness, stomach problems. Then, people start collapsing. And within weeks, the world is watching one ship very closely. This is the reported story surrounding the Dutch expedition cruise ship MV Hondius and what could become one of the most unusual disease investigations of 2026. Today, we're going to uncover what hantavirus actually is, how it spread on the Dutch expedition cruise ship, why scientists became alarmed, how countries are responding, and the big question many people are now asking: could this lead to another lockdown? Let's dive in. Reports confirm that the MV Hondius departed from Ushuaia, Argentina on April 1, 2026. Ushuaia is often called the end of the world because it sits near Antarctica. The ship carried passengers and crew from more than 20 countries. Now, here's the important part. Scientists believe the outbreak involved the Andes strain of Hantavirus, a rare form mostly found in parts of South America. Normally, hantaviruses spread from rodents to humans. Think of it like invisible dust from infected rats or mice. If rodent urine, saliva, or droppings dry up and become airborne, people can breathe in tiny virus particles without even realizing it. Experts suspect some passengers may have been exposed before boarding the ship, while traveling through rural parts of Argentina or Chile. And this is what made scientists nervous. Unlike most hantaviruses, the Andes strain has, in rare cases, spread from person to person through prolonged close contact. That's extremely rare. In fact, many experts compare it to finding a lion that suddenly learned how to swim. It's still unusual, but now the danger works differently. The first known symptoms reportedly appeared around April 6th. Then, on April 11th, a 70-year-old Dutch passenger died on board. Initially, it was believed to be natural causes. But the illness continued spreading silently, and that's one of the scariest parts of this story. Hantavirus symptoms can take anywhere from 1 to 8 weeks to appear. So during that time, passengers were still eating together, talking closely, sharing indoor spaces, and traveling between islands. The ship visited Tristan da Cunha between April 13th and 15th, then later stopped at St. Helena on April 24th, where 7 Brits disembarked. By then, some infected people had already traveled internationally. One passenger's wife was flown to Johannesburg, South Africa, where she later died on April 26th. A third passenger died on board on May 2nd. At that point, alarms exploded globally. The World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the United States, the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control, and national health agencies across multiple countries all began tracing passengers. It became an international race against time. Now here's something important. Early symptoms can look deceptively normal. Many infected passengers reportedly experienced fever, muscle pain, stomach problems, vomiting, fatigue, and headaches. But then the illness rapidly became severe. Some patients developed pneumonia-like symptoms. Others struggled to breathe. Several developed something called acute respiratory distress syndrome, where the lungs become dangerously inflamed. One French woman is currently being treated of life-threatening lung and heart problems using an artificial lung machine at the Paris hospital. Doctors say hantavirus can be especially dangerous for older adults, people with weakened immune systems, and anyone with underlying lung or heart conditions. But healthy people can also become critically ill. And that unpredictability is one reason health officials took this outbreak very seriously. Now, here's the surprising part. There is currently no specific cure for hantavirus. Doctors mainly try to keep patients alive long enough for their bodies to fight the virus naturally. Countries involved in the response include the United Kingdom, the United States, France, Spain, Singapore, the Netherlands, Germany, and South Africa. Passengers have undergone PCR laboratory testing, isolation procedures, oxygen therapy, intensive care support, and in severe cases, artificial lung support, known as ECMO. Reports have confirmed that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention classified the outbreak as a Level 3 emergency response. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization recommended monitoring exposed passengers for up to 42 days because symptoms may appear very late. The UK Health Security Agency also confirmed that British passengers returning home were carefully isolated and monitored. This situation has reminded many people of the early COVID-19 cruise ship outbreaks, especially the famous Diamond Princess incident in 2020. But experts say there is one major difference. Hantavirus does not spread nearly as easily as COVID-19.
So, will there be another lockdown? Right now, health officials say the risk to the general public remains low, and most scientists do not expect a global lockdown. Why? Because this virus usually requires close, prolonged contact to spread between humans. This is not behaving like COVID-19. Still, the outbreak exposed something important. Our world is deeply connected. One infected traveler can cross continents in hours. A disease in one remote location can suddenly become a global concern. And cruise ships create the perfect environment for infectious diseases. Shared air, close cabins, crowded dining areas, and long periods at sea. That's why institutions like the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control, and the UK Health Security Agency are acting aggressively now. Scientists are also studying whether there may still be hidden cases among passengers who never showed symptoms initially. The MV Hondius outbreak is more than just a cruise ship story. It's a reminder that nature still holds mysteries we do not fully understand. A tiny virus, possibly carried by rodents in South America, traveled onto a luxury expedition ship and triggered an international health response involving multiple countries. That is both fascinating and humbling. And perhaps the biggest lesson is this: global health security is no longer just about hospitals or governments. It's about all of us: travelers, scientists, doctors, cruise operators, and ordinary people staying informed. Because sometimes, the next major scientific story doesn't begin in a laboratory. It begins quietly, somewhere in the middle of the ocean.
What do you think about this outbreak? Do you believe cruise ships should have stricter health screening after COVID-19? Would you still go on a long international cruise today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy deep scientific stories explained in a simple and engaging way, make sure you like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the Innovative Scientific Discovery channel for more fascinating science stories from around the world. Until next time, stay curious.